regarding inspiration and making sure that a lot of the competitive nature of what we do is we want to one-up ourselves all the time. The thing that you have to be aware of is not to use somebody else as your metric. Use them as your inspiration. So your metric is what you did today and behind you, and then achieving something beyond that. You use somebody else's performance, somebody else's motion and action and physical structure, things like that, as inspiration to motivate you to push yourself from one position in time, in effort, in accomplishment, to the next one. You're always looking for your own metric and breaching that, going beyond. And that way you're assured of not getting to a point where you get deflated or burnt out, or because you're never going to achieve what somebody else is doing. And that's a failure mindset right from the get-go, is that I'm going to use that person as my metric for how I want to look, for how I want to perform, for how I want to move and things like that. You use exactly what you see as inspiration to light a fire under you, to then motivate you to become far better than what you were just that very moment. So the other thing is, when you see something and somebody doing something extraordinary, you can look at those metrics that they have and use that as an indicator of what's humanly possible. So something that humans can actually do. So when you look at Jesse Owens, or you look at the next person who went beyond and beyond and beyond, you look at all these athletes and you look at all these performance artists or gymnasts, or you name it, you pick any particular medium, and including people in art, in any functional expertise. The way they got there is just the diligence and the repeatability of doing something and then edging beyond where they were before. So the metric of other human beings is there to show you what's humanly possible. And if you're human, that means you can then work to levels that you didn't think were possible before, which is a lot of interesting things. Like when I see the girls watching our women train, they all of a sudden, they were at one particular level, and then they see Anna or Ninja work and do something incredible. You see, the first thing that happens is their eyes light up, and then it's like their mouth is usually agape, and then all of a sudden their next thing that they do is to mimic and do what was performed. So, which means they didn't know they could even do that before. So a lot of that is that inspiration to understand where you can be as a human being in expressing yourself fully, and then making it your own later on. Giving you a little bit of info for Florida information. So there's an invasive species, they're called the air potato, native to Australia, Africa, and Asia. So we're looking at this critter. These are the air potato. These are the bad invasive species. And you can actually see over here what Florida has done is they have introduced certain beetles that eat these things. So off of this plant, you will get those potatoes that then sprout into larger invasive species and goes all over. But it's really neat to see how the beetles that they release actually just tear into these plants, which is really neat. So that is an interesting component. So that's your Florida information for today. Don't forget to check out our newsletter. So if you check out our newsletter and you sign up for it, I actually give really big discounts, as well as our Patreon members. They get, even for the free membership, you can sometimes get those on there. We're talking big discounts, or even $1 a month gets you, 30-35% off on some of these videos that we sell, or the bundles. So huge savings. So just my own pitch for something that I'm terrible at. So check it out, patreon.com/corejkd, and then also our links that I'll put in for our Gumroad for all of our training videos. And I hope the best in your training.